It was a drizzling evening in Nairobi when Naomi ducked into the narrow alleyway of River Road. She had been chasing a lead for her freelance column on forgotten places of the city, but she never expected to find a cafe that looked like it had slipped out of time itself. The wooden sign above the door was faded, the paint peeling, letters barely visible, Café Esperanza. Inside, the place smelled faintly of coffee beans and something older: dust, memories, secrets. But what froze Naomi's steps wasn't the atmosphere. It was the clock. A tall brass clock on the wall above the counter, its hands locked stubbornly at 3:15. Tickless, motionless, eternal. "Caribou," said the old barista behind the counter, his accent tinged with Spanish. His name tag read Raphael. "We've been waiting." Naomi frowned. "Waiting for me." The man only smiled. That night marked the beginning of her obsession. Naomi returned the next day, notebook in hand, determined to unravel the story. She ordered black coffee and sat by the window, staring at the motionless clock. When she finally asked Raphael about it, he grew solemn. "It stopped the day she died," he said, "and it never moved again." "Who?" Naomi pressed. He leaned closer. Her name was Achieng. She was Kenyan, a singer in the 1950s. She loved a Spanish sailor, Diego. They opened this cafe together. It was their dream. Naomi's heart stirred. She could almost see them, Achieng in a flowing red dress, Diego with sea-weathered hands, laughing as they served coffee to poets and dreamers. But Raphael's eyes darkened. They were betrayed. One evening she waited for him at 3:15. He never came. Instead, news arrived: Diego had been attacked in the port. He died before reaching her. She collapsed right here in this cafe. Her heart broke and the clock stopped with it. Naomi shivered. The story felt too real, too close. And that night when she dreamed, she saw Achieng's face, and for a moment it was her own. Days blurred into nights. Naomi kept returning to Café Esperanza. Sometimes she was the only customer. Sometimes shadows filled the seats, whispering in Spanish and Kikuyu, though no one else seemed to notice. One evening, as she sipped her coffee, the air shifted. She blinked, and suddenly the cafe wasn't old and dusty. It was vibrant, alive. Music filled the air. Couples laughed. Achieng sang softly by the piano, her voice like honey. And there he was. Diego, strong, smiling, carrying roses, walking straight toward Achieng. But just as he reached her, the door burst open. A fight, a knife, blood on his shirt. He collapsed at 3:15. Naomi gasped, and the vision shattered. She was back in the dusty cafe, coffee trembling in her hands. "What's happening to me?" she whispered. Raphael only gave her a sad look. "The cafe shows itself to those it chooses. Perhaps you have something to finish." The next week, Naomi wasn't alone when she entered Café Esperanza. A man sat by the counter, tall, Spanish features sharp under the dim light. His eyes, storm blue, locked with hers, and her breath caught. "Do I know you?" he asked softly, his accent familiar. Naomi's chest tightened. He was a stranger, yet not. His presence vibrated through her bones like memory. "I'm Daniel," he introduced, "a historian researching old Spanish settlements in East Africa." Naomi laughed shakily. "Of course you are." They talked for hours. About the cafe, about lost histories. Every word felt like déjà vu. When he smiled, she saw Diego. When he touched her hand, warmth surged like an echo of a love she had never lived but always carried. That night, Naomi dreamed again. Only this time, Achieng turned to her and whispered, "Finish what I could not." Part 5, The Choice. Naomi and Daniel grew close quickly, bound by an invisible thread. But with their closeness came the hauntings. The cafe grew restless. One evening, Naomi found the clock trembling. Its hands still stuck at 3:15, but quivering as if straining to move. Visions engulfed her. Achieng dying in Diego's arms, time freezing forever. Daniel, Diego, looking at her now, waiting. Raphael's voice echoed. Every generation they meet again, always at this cafe, always at 3:15, but the story ends in blood unless someone breaks it. Naomi clutched Daniel's hand. "We can't stay," she whispered. "If we keep repeating their story, we'll lose each other again." The cafe shook. Cups rattled, the mirror above the counter cracked. Naomi ran to the clock. With trembling hands, she pushed its frozen hands forward. They resisted, screeched, then finally ticked. 3:16. Silence fell. The cafe's shadows dissolved. The air lightened. For the first time in 70 years, the clock moved. When Naomi turned, Raphael was gone. The cafe was empty, just her and Daniel breathing hard, free. Epilogue. Weeks later, Café Esperanza closed its doors forever. Naomi and Daniel stood outside, holding hands. "Do you think we've broken it?" Daniel asked. Naomi smiled faintly. "I think we've given them peace, and maybe given ourselves a chance." She leaned her head on his shoulder. For once, time didn't matter. It no longer stopped at 3:15. It belonged to them now.